Everyone's afraid of something, whether it's clowns or spiders, heights, darkness, or even clowns. There's something that sends a chill down your spine, and I'm no exception. Ah, Jesus. And I'm okay with admitting that. I know when I'm beat. Video games can be scary. This isn't breaking news. Most of the time, I'm pretty okay with the occasional horror game. Except that. I have a game in my collection that just downright gives me the heebie-jeebies simply by looking at the cover. Thankfully, I have the game put away, where I never have to see it ever again. Where did you come from? The movie Gremlins, and by extension its sequel, Gremlins 2: The New Batch, were the scariest movies to me as a child. In hindsight, I realized that they were more or less comedy films, especially the second one. But I could never get over how scary they look. It feels like some kind of uncanny valley sort of thing. I've come to appreciate the movies nowadays, but I can't shake the uneasiness I feel when I see those damn monsters. But it's October, it's scary times, so I'd say it's time to face my fears. So join me as we bone up on Gremlins 2: The New Batch for Game Boy and NES. There are 3 rules when caring for a mogwai. 1. Don't get them wet. This makes the mogwai multiply, and usually the offspring are not very kind. 2. Don't expose them to bright light. This hurts and even kills the mogwai. And 3. Don't feed them after midnight. This is a biggin. After eating, the mogwai enters a cocoon-like state wherein it transforms into yep, you guessed it, a gremlin. From the title alone, you can tell that someone didn't quite follow the rules. Again. And now it's up to our fuzzy little mogwai friend Gizmo to defeat his off-putting offspring and save the day once again, using not much more than office supplies and tomatoes. Despite being the same game at a glance, these games do have their fair share of differences. But we'll get to those in a minute while we focus on their handful of similarities. The game covers, for one, featuring the leader gremlin Mohawk in all his creepy majesty. And both games were produced by the company Sunsoft, with soundtracks composed by Naoki Kodaka. These 2 games loosely follow the story of their movie counterpart. You control Gizmo as he traverses through such locations found within the movie like the TV studio, air vents, nightmarish lava platform hell, and the office. Anywho, let's take a closer look at the NES title. Released in October of 1990, 9 months after the movie hit theaters, Gremlins 2: The New Batch for the Nintendo Entertainment System is a top-down platformer with shoot-'em-up elements. You control Gizmo as you hop and shoot your way through 9 levels, 4 of which being bosses. The other 5 are increasingly cruel platforming stages which will most definitely test your skills. And your patience. For really though, you'll get to parts in the early levels that makes you think, wow, that was tough. I hope there isn't anything like that in the later levels. Oh god, what the fresh hell is this? The game isn't without mercy, however. You are given a generous 3 hearts, totaling 6 hits before you die, with the ability to get a 4th heart from Mr. Wing, who sets up shop behind mysterious doors that appear slightly off the beaten path. Wing sells a treasure trove of super useful items that you buy with spherical gems dropped from enemies. The aforementioned extra heart, weapon upgrades, health, extra lives, and balloons, which neutralize a single fall and allow you to safely float over enemies, given you land properly. Otherwise... Aw, you son of a bitch. Fortunately, the game does have a password system, so you can jump right back into hating your life. This game is not easy. The latter half of this game requires near perfect timing in order to overcome obstacles, and if you manage to get to the boss level and end up dying, you have to start from the beginning of the previous stage. Hey, at least it gives you plenty of practice, because you'll be doing stage 4-2 and 5-1 a bunch. Thankfully, the bosses are relatively easy, and few in numbers, though I do wish there were more variety. You literally fight the same gremlin 3 different ways, with the electric gremlin to break it all up. Overall, the gameplay is tight, albeit a tad frustrating at times. Visually, the game's fantastic. The characters and enemies really pop and are easily identifiable from the characters in the movie. But about halfway through, the levels stop looking like film locales and more like, death traps? But that's fine, I guess. I really don't expect a smart building running rampant with gremlins to look like anything else. The music in this game is absolutely wonderful. Not only is it incredibly catchy and memorable, but it has this sort of creeping uneasiness to it that emulates the fear that Gizmo must be feeling, as well as the general mischievousness of the gremlins. Naoki Kodaka really outdid himself on this one. Gremlins 2 for the NES is an absolute gem. Sure, it's rough around the edges at times, but it provides a fleshed out and challenging platforming experience, and that's pretty damn impressive for a licensed movie game. Definitely worth a play if you're looking for a tough game that cares very little about your feelings. I have far less kind words for this gray square that haunts my nightmares and my Game Boy collection. Gremlins 2 for Game Boy is not a very good game. Just about everything that can be praised about the NES release is tossed in the garbage in this version. Gremlins 2, the new batch for Game Boy, released 3 months after its better, older sibling. So let's take a closer look at this mess. It is a conventionally unconventional 2D platformer that cares even less about your feelings than the NES one. As Gizmo, you try to get to the end of the level. You start each level unarmed until you find certain items. A pencil, which provides an unlimited but very short and crappy melee attack. A radio, which produces a one-time use musical note in which you toss at enemies. And Billy's toolbox, which acts like a star in Mario, however this ends after defeating 5 enemies. Or hitting spikes. And you will hit spikes. The levels are made of simple geometry in which you must scale, springs to jump on, and then jump on again because you missed your jump, spikes to inevitably fall on, and treadmills that make you question why you decided to play this damn game in the first place. Later levels require upsettingly pixel-perfect jumps that will take a life from you if you miss them, sending you back to the very beginning of the level. There are no checkpoints at all in this game. Each enemy is annoying in its own right, but the #1 offender of pissing me the hell off are the stupid bats that will almost always hit you because you cannot hit above you. The skateboard gremlins are also huge jerks, and the fireball spitting ones, and the hopping ones, and the doofy one, and each level ends with a boss battle. Half the bosses are a joke, and the other half are needlessly challenging in the most unfair way. Luckily enough, if you die in the boss battle, you get to start at the beginning of the fight. However, if you get a game over, you start at the beginning of the previous platforming level. Fortunately, you never have to start the whole damn game over again unless you turn the Game Boy off, and I wouldn't blame you if you did. The first 2 levels are relatively easy, but the last 2 are cruel and unusual, looking like something out of a Kaizo Mario World mod. The nicest thing I can say about this abomination is that it's short. 4 levels, 4 bosses, done. The game looks as good as it can, being a Game Boy game. Gizmo looks cute, the levels are made out of squares that you jump on. It's not exactly pushing the envelope. The soundtrack is pretty alright. It's cute and poppy, but doesn't do anything to capture that menacing, gremlin-y feeling until the last level. Instead, the first 3 songs almost sound like something you'd hear in a cutesy water level. I feel like the music is trying to patronize me in some sick way, acting all happy while I'm struggling for the 28th goddamn time to get past that crappy, blind, spike maze.
Get me out of here. Get me the hell out of here.
Ugh. This game is not only unpleasant to look at, but an agonizing chore to play. Am I happy that I beat it? Yes. Did I enjoy myself? Absolutely not. If you're into cruel and unusual games with not much going for them, then this game should be in your hands right now. Otherwise, save some time and play the NES one instead. Whew. I'm glad to have gotten that off my chest. I feel stronger now for facing my childhood fears. Maybe I'm strong enough to even play PT again. Alright, I'm ready for you now. You can't hurt... Thanks for watching. I have a few other projects in the work that I'm eager to share with you all, so if you enjoyed what you saw, feel free to subscribe. You can also catch me on Twitter and Twitch. I would love to hear from you. Happy Halloween.